Hey, how you guys doing? Jason here, FEMA Region 5, giving you my Facebook article updates for September 12th, 2013, a day after the 12th anniversary of September 11th, 2001, in the World Trade Center and Pentagon terrorist attacks perpetrated by Al-Qaeda, the same terrorist organization our country is now supporting to take out, as Wesley Clark said, 7 nations in 5 years. Looks like Bush Jr. was too incompetent to complete that task, so Barack Insane Obama is picking up where he left off. We got a lot of news, so let's jump into it. This is from RT.com. Obama's foreign policy just as bad or worse than Bush's. A recent poll states nearly 2/3 of Americans say President Barack Obama's handling of foreign policy is either equal to or worse than that of predecessor George W. Bush. A new poll reveals the results of a recent Reason Roop poll published on Tuesday this week suggests that a majority of Americans, which is 64%, consider the current Commander-in-Chief's job performance with regards to international affairs to be no better than President Bush Jr., who kick-started wars in both Afghanistan and Iraq during his 8 years in the White House. According to the results of the poll, 32% of Americans polled said Obama's handling of foreign policy is worse than that of his predecessor, with 32% also saying it is about the same. If you want to check that article out, go to RT.com. We'll move on. This is telegraph.co.uk news. Syria will hand over its chemical weapons, says Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad says he will place Syria's chemical weapons under international control in line with a proposal from Russia. The Syrian president, speaking to Russia's Rossiya 24-state news channel, denied, however, that U.S. pressure had nothing to do with the decision to surrender the arsenal. Now, if you want to read more into this article, you can go to the telegraph.co.uk. Basically, this also could be a setup. I mean, this could be setting up Bashar al-Assad. If Putin is playing cards with the United States and President Barack Obama, this could just be, if they happen to not give it in time, they put a time limit. I mean, we've seen this in Libya, so if Syria doesn't cooperate in a timely manner, or there's suspicion they haven't gave all to President Putin, then that's just another reason that we could put legislature to Congress to attack Syria. Let's move on to the next article. This is a libertarianrepublic.com. Jerusalem Post. Jerusalem Post says NSA gives up American citizens' private information to the Israeli government. The Jerusalem Post is reporting on a story from The Guardian that reveal a top-secret document provided by whistleblower Edward Snowden that shows that the NSA shares raw intelligence data with Israel. That means that it does not remove private information about U.S. citizens before handing it over. Wow. From the Jerusalem Post, the document that Snowden reportedly provided is a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, between the NSA and its Israeli counterpart, the Israeli Signet National Unit, ISNU, pertaining to the protection of U.S. persons. The MOU discloses that Israeli receives raw signal intelligence, raw signet, from the U.S., which includes unevaluated and unminimized transcripts, gist, facsimiles, and voice and digital network intelligent media data and content. Metadata. Minimization is the process that an intelligence agency carries out to safeguard the privacy of its citizens prior to sharing information with a foreign agency, according to the report. Israel receives such unminimized raw signet, according to the MOU, and is required by it to handle the information according to U.S. law. But according to The Guardian, the document does not back up these rules by any legal obligations on Israel. Kind of a mouthful from Jerusalem Post, but basically, not only is the NSA spying on us, but the NSA Israel's getting everything that the NSA spies on the American citizens' personal data or whatnot is completely going to Israel. If you want to read more into that, go to libertarianrepublic.com. Let's move on. This is BaltimoreSun.com. Conservative group wants liberation for Western Maryland. Fed up with taxes and Democratic dominance, they want to create a 51st state. Wow. Article reads, I just returned from a pleasant trip to the mountains and rivers of Garrett County to the dismay news that a group of conservative Republicans want Garrett and 4 other Maryland counties to break away from the 51st state so they can live happily ever after. And I've heard of this in southern Oregon. I've heard of this in, I think it was northern Colorado. There's at least 4 or 5 states talking about this. We'll move on. This is next article, Infowars.com. David Petraeus ambushed and branded war criminal by protesters. A video shows former CIA Director David Petraeus being ambushed by protesters on the streets of New York and branded a war criminal his very first day of employment. Let's check out this video. It's only a minute and a half.
General Petraeus.
Sexual abuse
right here. You destructive nothing but a destructive You will. Media. Piece of shit.
Blood all over you. I can smell
scumbag. You're watching. You not got a piece of shit.
Why are you teaching at CUNY? What do you have to say?
If you want to see the complete video of this ambush, this is pretty crazy stuff. Go to Infowars.com. David Petraeus ambushed, branded war criminal by protesters. Let's move on. Next article, Breitbart.com. Senate panel okays measure defining a journalist. Wow. A Senate panel on Thursday approved a measure defining a journalist, which has been an obstacle to broader media shields legislation designed to protect reporters and the news media from having to reveal their sources. The Judiciary Committee's action cleared the way for approval of legislation prompted by the disclosure earlier this year that the Justice Department has secretly subpoenaed almost 2 months of telephone records for 21 phone lines and used by reporters and editors from the Associated Press, and secretly used a warrant to obtain some emails of a Fox News journalist. The subpoenas grew out of investigation into leaks of classified information to the news organizations. Wow. The AP received no advance warning of the subpoena. The vote was a 13-5 for the compromise, defining a covered journalist as an employee, independent contractor, or agent of an entity that disseminates news or information. The individual would have been employed for 1 year with at least 20 or 30 months within the last 5 years. Wow. So yeah, this is also another war on independent journalism. You know, if you're not getting paid by a well-rep company, then you don't have no journalistic laws. That means basically it's an attack on your First Amendment free speech and photographing and everything else. So let's move on. Naturalnews.com. FDA targets free-range pastured poultry and eggs with ridiculous new draft guidelines pushing for all chickens to be raised indoors. Okay, no free, different meaning to free range, I guess. Take out the free. America's small farmers are once again under attack, this time by a new draft guidance issued by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, that threatens to eliminate truly free-range and pastured poultry and eggs, entitled Questions and Answers regarding the final rule, prevention of salmonella enteritis in shell eggs during production, storage, and transportation. The new agency report basically suggests that all egg producers with 3,000 or more laying hens to be forced to raise their birds indoors to avoid bacterial contamination, which would eliminate consumer access to chicken and eggs from birds raised naturally outdoors on pasture. I mean, this is where you get white chickens and white eggs. They're not getting no sunlight. You know, if you got an outdoor chicken, he's usually like a brown or yellow color golden chicken, and you're eating brown eggs. Let's move on. If you want to read the rest of that, go to naturalnews.com. Next article, MinuteMenNews.com, new website I found this week. Federal government pulls aid to food pantry because of their Christian practices. Wow. From the time that the first settlers arrived in our stores, until several decades ago, charity and aid to those in need was supplied by the local community and the church. If there was an illness, injury, or loss of a family member, the church was there to help provide meals, watch kids, etc. If a barn needed to be raised, the church members brought their tools, the women brought their meal baskets, and everyone pitched in to help. The same was true during harvest time. Church families would help each other bring in their crops, and in the process, there was usually a lot of sharing and trading of produce. Back in Arizona, I had the honor of serving on the Board of Deacons. We helped out the elderly and families in need. We would organize meals, help pay bills, and necessary, even help others from outside our church who came looking to keep their lights on or put a meal on the table. Wow. Make it down here. The Christian Food Bank received notice from the USDA that unless they stopped all Christian practices at the center and took down their pictures of Jesus and the Ten Commandments, they would no longer be eligible to receive USDA food contributions. Currently, the USDA makes up 30 to 40% of CSC's food contributions. Wow. So some of the food they get distributed is from the government, just like many other food banks. You know, food comes from the USDA and the CSC, and has been receiving USDA food for years. However, with Obama's war on Christianity, the government help has ended. So, praise your Lord Obama, not our Savior Jesus Christ. We'll move on. This is a local article, Charlotte, CBSLocal.com. Mom upset daughter wasn't allowed to write about God. Wow, a mother is angry after her daughter wasn't allowed to write about God for a school assignment. According to WREG, Urka Sheed says her 10-year-old daughter Erin, a student at Lucy Elementary in Memphis, Tennessee, was told she couldn't use God as an idol and had to pick another idol for assignment. Let's ignore those 10 commandments. It was so cute and innocent. She talked about how God created the earth and how she's doing the best she can. She told WREG, but my teacher said I couldn't write about God. She said it has something to do with God and God can't be my idol, said Sheed about what her daughter told her. Wow. If you want to read more on that, charlottecbslocal.com. Also, the link will be provided in the description of the YouTube video. Last article, NSA identifies 3 asteroids for potential capture. Wow. U.S. Space Agency has narrowed its hunt for an asteroid to capture to 3. And NSA said the asteroids fit the requirements of being 7 to 10 meters yards in size, and further studies should be able to narrow the choice even more, scientists said, conference in San Diego, California. Wow. So basically what they want to do is they want to go out there and some kind of fish these asteroids in and bring them into our orbit and have it orbit around the sun. They actually want to land on these things and mine and collect data and who knows, get diamonds, gold, or whatever else kind of resources they want. So that's pretty sci-fi crazy stuff. But NASA has identified 3 asteroids for potential capture and use. That's my last article for today. Check me out on Facebook.com, Jason A. Coon. Check me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is September 12, 2013. I'll leave you guys with the song I brought you in on.
A new revolution for the extremists. Extremists come together, we marching straight ahead. Not going deep, I'm going in over my head. Take it with these strides, take it like a man. Depend upon Jehovah when we get the strength to stand. Raise up the resistance, get in the last word. Slicing up the demons, the scriptures on my sword. Watch the evil tremble when I mention his name. Once again, the lips of them, they're bursting out in flames. Now we're active members of this army of fire. Our retaliation, fighting like vampires. What you gonna do? Make a choice today. Take the lead or follow. All you cowards, get out of the way. Come on. A new revolution for the extremists.
Jason clocking out the Emergent 5.